The junction system is one of the most divisive things in Final Fantasy VIII. It caused such an uproar that it even stopped some Final Fantasy fans from playing the title for more than a few hours before shutting it off. But what is it about the junction system that people don't seem to like? I searched the internet for answers, and people quoted it as being too confusing, a good idea with bad execution, too easy to break, i.e. get overpowered. The most common answer I found was that it was too confusing and players wouldn't junction anything until as late as the end of Disc 2, after a multitude of already difficult bosses. No wonder people stopped playing, it's near impossible. So with that in mind, this video is going to teach you everything you need to know about the junction system, how to get good magics, how to effectively junction that magic to raise your stats, and all of the little menus that make this system a nightmare. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first step is actually junctioning a GF to your character. It's pretty easy. You go to Junction, choose a character, Junction GF, and throw your GF onto a character. As simple as that. For this example, I'm going to equip all three, and we will go with that. As you back out of that menu, it'll prompt you to auto junction. We won't do that right now, but that's something you can do for most of the game actually. If you auto junction attack, if you auto attack like so, that'll sort out your junctions for the most part of the game, and you'll be able to pass through the whole game fairly easily. But for now, we're going to stick to manually doing so. And you go ability, and you can set up your commands for in the battle. Now, attack is always there. There's no getting rid of attack, so you need to choose three others. My preference is normally something like magic, item, and draw. Magic obviously lets you cast your magic, items let you use your items, draw lets you draw magic from enemies. I'll get into that a bit later as well. GF lets you use your summons or your guardian forces, and card turns monsters into cards. There's a lot more abilities that you unlock across the game, so you need to keep checking whenever you learn new abilities to see if you can get new commands in battle and use them accordingly. There's also special abilities learned by each GF that you can start to equip. For example, strength plus 40% and strength plus 20%. These two here are going to obviously boost the strength stat, but you don't see much of a difference until you start junctioning magic to your strength stat. But before we get into that, I want to guide your attention to the actual stats down here. See how they're all white right now? That means I can junction a magic to that stat. If you look to the right side to see the speed, evade, hit, and luck stats, they are grayed out, which means I cannot junction any magic to those stats until I unlock them as a GF ability. If we go to GF and select whichever GF we like, we can actually choose which abilities our GFs learn while they gain AP. So Junctioning Quizzicoatl will allow you to junction magic to your HP stat and your magic stat because he's already learned those. He's in the process of learning Vitality Junction, so once that hits 50 AP, we'll be able to junction a magic to your Vitality stat as well, only if Quizzicoatl is equipped to a character. You with me so far? Same goes with Shiva, obviously Strength, Spirit, and Vitality, and Ifrit with Strength and soon to be HP. So once you learn those GF abilities right there, you'll be able to junction magic to said stats. So explaining each stat and what they are, HP is obviously your health stat, Strength is your physical damage output, Vitality is your physical defense, Magic is your magic damage output. On top of that, it is also a counter for how much magic you draw in battle. So the higher your magic stat, the more magic you'll draw in battle. Spirit is your magic defense. The luck stat correlates to your critical hit rate. So the higher your luck, the more critical hits you will hit. Your hit stat is how often you will hit the enemy. Squall having 255% is maxed, so he will never miss even when he's blinded. Evade is how well you can evade enemy attacks, and speed is how fast your ATB gauge fills up. So in order to boost these stats using the junction system, we need to first have some magic. Now there's a few ways you can get magic, the most common way being to draw from enemies in battle. Now this is what a lot of people didn't like, and they got really sick of the game really quickly because drawing magic takes a long time. So instead of drawing magic, you can actually use more GF abilities. If you go to Quetzalcoatl and learn the ability Card, that will then unlock the ability Card Mod, and you can learn that as well. So once you have Card Mod, go into your abilities section right here and select Card Mod. Now if you go along, these are all the cards that I have collected from playing the card game Triple Triad. If you don't know how to play the card game, I have another video coming out in the near future, so subscribe and be ready for that. I'll explain how to play the card game and how to get all these cards for yourself this early on in the game. But once you have the Card Mod ability unlocked, you can go ahead and get whatever items you want from these cards, and these items can actually be turned into magic if you use the right abilities. For example, we'll go Abyss Worm into Windmills. Do that, and you go Thunder Magic, so that's refine lightning or wind magic from an item. You select that one, go to Windmill, and that'll actually give you 20 tornadoes per windmill. Absolutely no time wasted doing drawing or anything like that in battle. So you don't need to worry about drawing at all in this game, except for maybe the first half an hour of the game when you get your initial boost of stats. So now that we have the magic, I've explained how you get it, how you can efficiently get it without having to waste much time. Now you have your magic. What you want to do is go ahead and junction it to your stats. Now, before I said auto attack will actually do it fairly well and you'll be fine. Look at the stat boost already. And you will get away with this for the most of the first disc. This is probably going to sort me out till the end of disc 2 if I left my stats the way they are. However, I don't want to do that because I want to explain how to increase every single stat. Now, junctioning a magic to any stat is not the way to go. For example, if you go to HP junction and you select Thundargas, that'll go to 1886, but if you junction 100 Curagas, that'll go to 2686. And the reason being, HP is not an offensive stat, it's a defensive stat. So using the likes of cure spells or anything defensive, your HP is going to have much more boost to it. So selecting Curaga there will be the better option. Same goes for strength. If you put 100 Curagas on your strength, it'll only go to 59. However, if you put 100 tornadoes to your strength, that'll go to 104. So keep that in mind as well. You need to look at the stat and think, is this offensive or defensive? And we'll go back to my previous explanation before. HP is your health, so that's defensive. Strength is your physical attacks, so that's offensive. Vitality and spirit are your physical and magic defense, so they are defensive. And magic is again your magic damage output, which is offensive. So you want to be equipping offensive to magic, say like that, and you want to be equipping defensive to your defense. As you can see here, Thundarga only puts it to 22, whereas Curaga, a defensive spell, will put it to 71. So you need to look out for what magic you're equipping to what stat and actually make the most out of it. Now, on top of these base stats right here, if you go junction magic and push left, you will also have more to work with. Now, this first page here is your junctions for elemental attack and elemental defense. Elemental attack will actually infuse your physical attacks with an element. So if I put 100 Thundargas on element attack, I will also have a thunder effect on top of my attack. And that in turn will also boost my damage output. So for example, if an enemy is weak to thunder and I put 100 Thundargas on my elemental attack, I'm going to boost my damage insane amounts, right? And the same goes in reverse for elemental defense. If I put the likes of Thundarga on my elemental defense, any enemy casts thunder magic on me, I will not be affected by it. I will be immune because Thundargas do 100%. So that will nullify completely that element. The same goes if we push left again, it takes us to status attack and status defense. The same goes with this. Status defense, if I put status magic on my status defense, I will be closer to being immune to that status ailment. And if I put a status magic on my status attack, I will actually be able to inflict that status while I attack an enemy. Make sense? Now I want to go over my GF abilities again just to explain this even further. You saw before that I junctioned strength plus 20% and strength plus 40% to my stats. The way I did that is I have Ifrit, who has learned them using AP. Every GF has different abilities that they can learn. For example, Shiva has Vitality plus 20%, Spirit plus 20%, Quetzalcoatl has Magic plus 20%, so you want to keep an eye out for those abilities and equip them as you see fit. So say you're building your character like I do with Squall, and I go straight for power, strength, strength, strength. I will equip Ifrit on him and give him strength plus 20% and strength plus 40%, because without those two, the stats kind of mediocre. But you throw those two on there, and all of a sudden we're talking business, right? So keep an eye out on what abilities you are learning and what you want to do with your characters in order to make the most out of your experience in this game. The last thing I want to talk about is the switch menu. Now, there's certain periods in the game where the party will switch constantly. You'll switch between having Squall as your leader, and then all of a sudden Squall's in a different place and you're controlling the likes of Quistis. And the way to change that quickly without having to de-junction and swap magic around and then re-junction and all of that, the way to avoid that is to use switch. Now what you can do here is actually use junction exchange to switch the junctions from Squall over to Quistis. So we'll just reiterate the fact that Squall is junctioned right now, right? He has all of those stats available and magic is junctioned to him. So if I go to switch and junction exchange Squall with Quistis, and then I go and check the junctions with Squall, he's no longer junctioned. And if I switch over to Quistis, she has all those junctions there for herself. And again, it works in reverse. So if I want to switch it back to Squall, I'll select Quistis, go to Squall, and now he has all of his junctions back, just like that. And you can also use the magic menu on the main menu to select different magics and swap them between your characters, like so. You can split them, or you can give all. Anyway guys, that's all for the junction system. I hope I've explained it beginner friendly. I hope I haven't gone too over the top with what I've been saying, and I hope it's easy for you guys to understand. If you enjoyed the video and it was very helpful for you to understand this junction system, please let me know down below in the comments, and also leave a like and subscribe for a lot more Final Fantasy VIII tutorials in the future. I also want to stress that this game is not at all difficult if you junction, so make sure you check your junctions. If you're having troubles, check them, see what you can change, see what you can equip, whether it be your elemental attacks or defense, see if you can change that around, and make sure you are always a step ahead of the enemies, because this game is very difficult if you do not junction properly. Again, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell icon so you get notified whenever I upload a new Final Fantasy VIII tutorial video. But that's all from me. My name is Tom vs Gaming. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.